Hello everybody, what is up, what is good? It's your boy Ray the Dog King back with a brand new video. Here I am, live reacting to oh my goodness, it's been a long day, to the Tribeca game spotlight. So, as you can see, I'm clearly not dressed as usual. That's because it's Thursday right now. It's Thursday, 5:30 in the afternoon. I've just come back from the office, couple of meetings, couple of presentations, hence the tie and the jacket and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm probably not only be able to post this videos on Monday. So I'm just gonna do all my reactions to all the game conferences that happened today. So I'm probably gonna be not sleeping quite a lot. So excuse me if my reactions are not as good as they are supposed to be because I'm a little tired from work and I don't have time during the weekend to do that stuff because I'm really focusing on getting a lot of work done during the weekend. So, but for now, I'm just gonna decide, okay? It's Thursday, I'm gonna run through as many reactions as possible, starting with the Tribeca Games Spotlight. So, without further ado, let's begin with the video, right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna post these on next week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're gonna get a brand new video scheduled. So apologies if they are a little late. I don't have time. So it's best for me to just get them all done today and finish up. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, chop. All right. Tribeca Festival.
The city is back and it's exciting.
It's a fantastic film festival that really gets to the soul and the heart of downtown New York filmmaking.
But why they talk about games?
It's about the vibrance and the culture of New York, and we pull it all together with films, games, immersive experience.
Yeah, I'm here for the games, fam.
Share our narratives.
Don't
now
care about
differently.
movies. Here for the games.
There are so many more things that games can be.
Ever since I was a kid, I would play video games 24/7.
Every time I wanted to relax, every time I wanted to step out of the world for a bit.
You know, some people might say, well, go read a book. I'm like, I don't want to read a book.
Yeah.
I want to be in an interactive adventure. I want to feel like I'm part of the story.
I am Julian Cordero, and my game is Despelote.
Goodbye, Volcano High.
Stray Gods?
Okay,
A Highland Song.
let's go back.
What?
Interactive adventure.
All right, let's go back.
I want to feel like I'm part of the
Let's do a
story.
45-minute video.
I am Julian Cordero, and my game is Despelote.
Goodbye, Volcano High.
Stray Gods?
A Highland Song.
Chants of Sinnoh.
What?
Nightscape.
The Expanse.
Oh, nice.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to Tribeca Games.
Tribeca. Is that a coffee shop called Tribeca? Yeah.
I must have climbed the hill behind the house 100 times. I know every stone.
Wow.
But
That's
after
quite
that
beautiful.
hill, there's another. And then another again. And after all that, then that's the sea. And I've never been there.
A Highland Song is a narrative adventure game set in the wilds of the Scottish Highlands. You play
Don't
as
say.
Moira McKinnon, a teenager on her way to the sea for the first time. But to get there, you're going to have to find your way through the wild mountains and the valleys.
Why not just
You'll have
drive?
to survive the weather, and you'll learn a bit about the stories and the history of the Highlands on the way.
Oh.
Inkle is an independent game studio based in the UK, and we specialise in narrative games, so we make games in all sorts of genres, but our main focus is on games that tell really strong stories.
Our most famous game is probably 80 Days, an adaptation of Jules Verne's classic novel.
The main hook of 80 Days is that you can go around the world any way you like. The way that
80 Days.
Highland Song works is extremely similar to 80 Days. You start in one particular point and you can choose all sorts of different routes through the Highlands in order to reach your goal. But it also ends at a single point because you're trying to reach the lighthouse where your Uncle Hamish lives by the sea.
Finding the right gameplay for a game like a Highland Song can be really difficult.
Yeah.
Gameplay is usually built around loops and patterns, but good narratives aren't made out of loops. We want to make sure that the character isn't doing anything just for the sake of gameplay, but everything the character's doing has to make sense within the narrative.
So the reason that we've essentially created our very first platforming game is that it just makes sense for the character within this scenario to be jumping and scrambling over rocks. And it even has a rhythm action mechanic. So in many ways, it's the most gamey game that we've ever created.
Moira's platforming abilities in a Highland Song are quite realistic. She has a limited amount of time that she can climb. She gets hurt if she falls too far. She can rest to recover her strength. She gets affected by weather and affected by nighttime and affected by cold. A lot of our mechanics are built around the tension between knowing where you are and being lost. We have a map mechanic, which is all about that. It's about finding little pockets of knowledge, learning the names of peaks and understanding the history of the peaks to help you find your way through this world.
Okay, interesting.
At Inkle, we've always loved hand-drawn 2D illustration. We love how expressive it can be, especially for characters. Even when we made 3D games, we still had 2D characters because we loved the overall effect. I grew up in Scotland. When I was a teenager, I went up into the Scottish Highlands with 3 friends and we got lost and we had to stumble through rivers and bogs. It was really quite a chilling, scary experience. My parents are art historians and there was always one painting in...
Quick story time. You said he's been lost in the Scottish bogs. Well, I too, as a young man, have been lost before. Don't know how much I can say. You know what, never mind. Just know I've been lost before in a very dangerous area. And luckily enough, when I was, 12 years old. Yeah. By myself. He at least had friends. I was on my own and I got lost. And luckily enough, I was able to find my way back home. So yeah. Can't say much more, but quite an experience, I would say.
Particular that they had, that I used to love as a child. It had a little ruined castle by loch and these Scots pine trees and this golden brown colour palette that was just so characteristic of the region. And so going for a really painterly aesthetic was a way to capture that. The more modern take on that is the digital paintings of concept artists such as Paul Scott Canavan, who we worked with on this project. And he came up with this really beautiful way of hand painting rocks and trees and grass and then assembling them as a huge collage, but then all built up so that the overall effect is of a painting coming to life.
When people play a Highland Song, I really want them to come away with a strong sense of the place, the Highlands themselves. There's this tension in that place between being full of story and history and the marks left behind by people, whether that's ruined farmhouses or whether that's just the names attached to the various peaks and the stories behind those names, which often go back a very, very long way indeed.
When I first kind of conceived of the game, I tried to forget everything about what games we'd made as a studio before, what games are out there, and I just tried to imagine, what do I want on my Switch for me to play right now? And pretty much a Highland Song, as the way it looks and feels, popped into my head, and I can't be prouder of what we've created.
Yeah, looks nice. Very interesting game. Oh, K-pop dance. What is this?
Co-op is a game studio that's based originally in Montreal, but is now remote and worldwide.
I said K-op.
It is a cooperative.
Basically, that means that we make all major decisions together. We decide whether we want to work 4 days or 5 days. Spoiler alert, we decided to do 4 days a long time ago.
We present concepts when we are starting
Must
to
be
put together
nice.
things. And we all vote on what we think is what everybody would like to work on.
And you feel more attached to what you're making.
But they did say, like, hey, you can work 4 times a week, but it's gonna have to be 10-hour work weeks. And people are like, 10 hours, because work is 40 hours. It's 40 hours a week. You can either do it in 4 or you can do it in 5. So everybody's like, we might as well do it in 5, because in 4 hours, in 4 hours, if you do it 4 days a week, 10-hour work days, that's just a lot, because it's no longer 9 to 5 anymore. It's now like 8 to 6. And nobody wants to work those hours.
King because you voted for it, you chose it.
It was really important for us to feel like this was a different space where people actually could.
Fun games like Winding Worlds and Nog and the upcoming Goodbye Volcano High.
Goodbye Volcano High is a cinematic visual novel about dinosaurs in their final year of high school. At the start of the year, they find out that a meteor is coming. And the game is about asking yourself, what would you do if you had 1 year left? Who would you be? Who would you want to love? And how would you want to go out?
I vote yes.
I don't think this is a voting type situation.
I mean, it does kind of belong to all of us. Or it was supposed to.
It does. You did a great job.
So, what do you say, Fang?
We chose dinosaurs for Goodbye Volcano High for a couple of reasons.
Originally, when we presented the game to everybody else, it was meant to be a dating sim because, like, at the time, this was
dating sim
hot thing to work on was dating sims. And then we were like, hold up. Here's the hook. It's a dating sim with dinosaurs at the end of the world. As soon as you start talking about a meteor, even though the characters are unsure what's going to happen, you know what's going to happen.
And that was really important to us because we wanted to make something that could tap into the anxiety of our current times. And dinosaurs was a really great way to create that metaphor instantly.
As it went on and we became kind of more ambitious and more interested in making what we actually like, we were like, what if it's became kind of more ambitious and more interested in making what we actually like? We were like, what if it's an anime and we tell a story that isn't necessarily so focused on dating, but really goes deep into the emotional aspect?
Wait, aren't they in high school? Aren't you not supposed to be smoking when you're in high school?
Aspects of the end of the world.
So high school already feels like it's the end of the world to most people, so it wasn't really that hard to hone in on the teen angst. It's really the hope that's tricky to encapsulate.
High school to me is all about that sweet, sweet balance of doom and hope.
Hope for the better future, hope for the dreams we chase and the ambitions we strive for. Those are things that can feel impossible to cling to, especially with something that can't be stopped and feels inevitable, like a giant meteor hitting you.
And communities all across the continent reacted to the news of a previously unknown space object this morning.
So, how do you deal with that?
It starts off very joking. They're kind of making gallows humor jokes.
In light of the whole space rock potential demise of civilization thing, my chosen theme feels off.
What's the theme?
Using this year to, make an impact.
Our characters all have different methods of coping. Some double down on their ambitions, determined to accomplish their dreams before it's too late. Others slow down and decide to savor what time they have left, regardless of what their dreams are.
We can still win! Battle of the Bands! Asteroid or not!
The player character inner monologue.
Music is really important in Goodbye Volcano High, and I would actually say music is really important to our studio and all of our games. It's core.
I'm just gonna pause here. Honestly speaking, I'm not gonna play this game, but I do like the concept. Like when you spoke about the metaphors of how dinosaurs and the impact and how high school sort of relates to that, I sort of understand. Because, you know, everybody has some regrets from their high school days. I certainly do. Like, I wish I would have been more ambitious with my choices of college. But I played it safe. I just went to the same college that my friends went to, which was fun. We had a good time. It was electric. But now I'm like, I could have reached a bit higher. Because, you know, it's just one of those things where you feel like, I regret this. I wish I had tried my best here. That's sort of like the metaphor of this channel, basically. Where I was like, man, I would like to be able to create content that is definitely palatable to a lot of viewers. I like to play games, but I was just, you know, financial reasons I couldn't. But now that, you know, got a job and everything, all dressed nicely, and yeah, I was able to afford to buy the components to build my own PC. Thank you, Linus Tech Tips, for that. You really helped me out with that. And so yeah, now I have my own system and I'm playing the games I've always wanted to play. Just need to finish up Dark Souls, but I've got a list of games that I need to play. Like Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, The Force Unleashed. I played The Force Unleashed. That was back in my PS2 days. But yeah, I've only had a PS2 and an Xbox 360. Which is a lot better than a vast majority of people, but I can't wait until I get myself a PS5. I'm definitely gonna wait until Black Friday. That shit is expensive. Oof. Anyway, let's just continue with the video.
To our DNA, and music is central to the identity of the people who make the game.
One of my New Year's resolutions: learn how to play the guitar. Let's say halfway through the year, and I have not started. I've looked. I already have a wish list, the guitar kit I would like to buy. It's an Ebenez guitar, as acoustic dreadnought sides, perfect for my 6.2 frame. Yeah. But I want to get the what is it? The nickel strings, the metal nickel strings instead of the nylon strings, because that's more along the lines of a Spanish guitar. So you get the Spanish sound, but with a nickel. Sorry, I think it's made out of nickel. Steel nickel strings. You get that country sound, that country feeling from it, and that's the kind of guitar I'd like to get.
And so it is central to the identity of the game itself. And
it is essentially the same as having a scene of dialogue, but
the music sounds good. Probably going to be good, but honestly speaking, it's not my type.
Even when you don't.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sure people like the game. I do like the concept, but it's not for me.
Bonjour, je suis Julien. Bonjour, je suis Thomas. Nous sommes les cofondateurs de Rundisk et nous sommes ici pour vous parler de Chants of Senna. Avec Chants of Senna, nous avons voulu proposer une aventure originale basée sur le mythe de Babel. On a essayé de vous plonger dans la peau d'un voyageur qui débarquerait dans un pays complètement inconnu.
Ok.
Tout au long de son ascension, le joueur va rencontrer 5 peuples différents. Chaque peuple a ses propres coutumes, sa propre histoire et évidemment sa propre langue. Comme chacun de ces peuples parle des langues différentes, ça fait des siècles qu'ils ne se comprennent plus. Une partie du jeu et de l'aventure va consister à comprendre les raisons de cette division et peut-être essayer de rétablir l'harmonie dans la tour.
One thing I've learned from just this short video is the Tribeca GameSpot are more for the artistic games, those artistic indie games, it seems. It's a good thing I know a bit of French.
Quand on a compris qu'on voulait travailler sur les langues, on a eu cette idée de s'inspirer.
Now, some of the languages I saw, I think it's Tamil. Tamil, I saw a bit of Arabic as well.
Inspiré de la tour de Babel parce que c'est un mythe qui est très puissant.
Just some scribbles are like, oh, hey yo fam, what are these?
Qui parle des hommes qui essaient d'atteindre le ciel en construisant une gigantesque tour. Et ça a déplu aux dieux qui ont décidé de les frapper d'une malédiction en leur faisant tous parler une langue différente. Ce qui est important et original dans le jeu, c'est que les langues sont des puzzles en soi. Pour nous, un mot c'est pareil qu'un levier, une porte, une clé. On comprend des langues en résolvant des puzzles, et résoudre des puzzles nous permet de comprendre des langues.
Yeah. Once again, another beautiful game, but it's not for me.
Et marche de réconciliation. Le personnage lui-même, c'est important pour rien ainsi les à la tolérance. Le contexte est beau à résoudre ces mystères et à nous aider à
Come on. Nightscape.
Nightscape is a 2.5D atmospheric adventure game where the ancient Arabian night sky loses its light.
Jesus!
You play as Layla, who is an astronomer who just loves to look at the night sky.
As Layla, players wield a magical astrolabe, restoring stars back to constellations in order to seek a path home.
Oh, beautiful.
A key stellar cast member is the Goat Kid constellation. The Goat Kid decides to accompany Layla in her journey.
These days, people do not know much about constellations and the stories behind them, especially
Jawa. So the Goat Kid. The lion, Leo. Southwest, southeast, east, northwest, west, northeast.
Actually, Arabic constellations. They're different from the Western or the Greek constellations. And so we've had a big research task finding out what those constellations mean, what the backstories are, and finding out how we can turn those ideas into gameplay elements.
The importance of the sky is having this sky-ground connection. Having Layla use the constellation's abilities to solve puzzles and help with Layla in defeating enemies.
The game being 2.5D, you can actually walk into the screen. There's a lot there that allowed them to make the game very cinematic.
So it's not 3D.
This is a brand new experience for me, building a team from the ground up. We found an amazing level designer in Nabil and a coder in Idris. And very recently we found a technical artist in Zaki. And those three are the powerhouse of the studio. And I think it's really genuinely amazing that we found those guys who are willing to work with us in Doha. I was very unsure about the amount of talent for making video games in the Middle East. And I think we got super lucky finding the team that we did.
For me, it all starts with a story and pictures that triggers my imagination. It triggered immediately some music in my mind. Beautiful Middle Eastern melodies to take them in, the makams, to combine them with harmonies, Western influences as well.
I'm gonna pause it there for a moment. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Hey man, it's late. As you can see, this is sort of the stuff I'm basically interested in. Where is it? Where is it? What is it called? That thing. I don't look at it. There it is. This is basically what I'm seeing. That's all I'm getting from this trailer. All I'm getting. Where is...
Welcome, my friend.
This dude looks like a body of
Welcome, my friend.
God damn, it's hot. I'm sweating like R. Kelly in Disneyland.
Alright, sorry. Sorry, like that guy, he reminds me of my friend Ashad. Oh man, I remember he looked just like he did in his wedding. Oh my goodness. Incredible.
That it comes together
Let's
as a
get
blend.
back, let's focus,
In my mind,
man.
designing sound is a bit like playing with clay, like trying to model this clay, this sound, manipulate, edit, cut. For example, the hook shot is mostly made by a tree branch, the footstep of a scorpion walking, which is a mix of knife and stone. The voice of a scorpion is my voice, actually. And then overly processed. When the scorpion attacks, when the scorpion dies, that's my voice.
We're trying really hard to make the game feel magical, particularly the parts where the player is trying to figure out the puzzles.
Being in a country like the Philippines where my hometown had about zero pollution, so looking at the stars was one of my hobbies, which is why Nightscape appealed to me a lot.
Like, people, like, one thing I do like about camping, despite the cold weather, the terrible food and everything, and the threat of bears, is you're able to just to look at the sky and you can see the stars and everything. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So I would highly recommend that if you have the time or the money, go camping once in a while.
There's about 65.
Also, it's important to go with the right people, because if you go with some fucking shitheads, it's gonna suck.
5 million people in the MENA region who play games, and there's a very sparse amount of content being developed from within. We want to push that boundary, and we want to create fun and meaningful games with the Middle East in mind, utilizing its culture and rich traditions and history to really inspire ideas for games going forward. And ultimately, build a bridge towards understanding the Middle East better.
Man, I don't know what is is it? What is it about Asian cultures and them and the stars and the constellations? Yeah, that's a very interesting topic because it seems like every culture, whether it's Greek, Roman, Babylonian, Egyptian, Middle Eastern, they all have these fascination about the stars. I don't know what it is about. Alright, next game.
Is the world too much?
Stray Gods.
Just me. Everything I set upon
Yeah.
at my feet. Everything I've learned wasted on a girl who doesn't know how to be free.
The games industry is always absolutely convinced that we can only be this and this only until someone comes along and proves them wrong.
Stray Gods is a role-playing musical where you control the song. You play as Grace, a college dropout who's not quite sure what to do with her life.
A woman living in the modern world who encounters the last of the Greek muses.
Calliope?
Who dies in her arms, passes on her powers, and Grace discovers that the Greek gods are alive and well and hidden in the modern world.
We think that Stray Gods kind of appeals beyond just fans of video games. It's a really unique story and a unique experience.
There are so many elements that go into this game to make it special that you can attach to any one of them and have an incredible experience.
Stray Gods is what we call a role-playing musical. It's not really a genre that's ever existed before.
You say you didn't kill Calliope. You have 1 week to prove it. What do I do?
Start singing. This is a game with branching musical numbers where the key decisions in the story are made in musical numbers
Eric
change depending
fire,
on
dude! I like the outfit.
The way that we tackle music is one that
talented voice actors in the world.
I don't give a
the most talented people on
Tribeca. So then you get it all.
We have such incredibly complex, thoughtful characters in this game. Every single character in the game has the potential to be a favorite.
No, that's too hard of a question.
My favorite character is, I think, Orpheus.
My king, Orpheus. He's my favorite. It used to be Hermes, but Orpheus, emo king, love.
Look at me, who do you think I am? I'm saying Medusa. I am the #1 Medusa fan in the office.
I love Medusa, and I love Persephone, and I adore Freddy, but my favorite.
I reckon my favorite character is Freddy.
I'm really going to go against grain here. My favorite character is Freddy.
Everybody's going to say Freddy, so I thought I'd say someone else as well.
But my favorite...
Who's Freddy?
Oh, yeah, I'll say Freddy. But Medusa and Calliope.
Medusa, Freddy, Orpheus, Hermes.
Sorry.
There is a level of belief in the studio in the theme on...
It is a Voltron of...
So had a conscious effort to make sure that we weren't hiring the same kind of... They'd be able to hire to have diverse to share their opinion. And
gaming is about
joy.
Ain't gonna play this game, honestly. It's probably not for me. Yeah. Not much into musicals, honestly. Okay! That's more my speed. Let's see what it is.
The Expanse is an exceptional intellectual property in that it's huge, and that the characters are the forefront of what they are focusing on.
What is so compelling about it is that it works in several different mediums, right? I mean, we began with the books. And then I think what was so special about the television show was that it was almost like just another window of looking in at this same story.
So what's unique about the way that we tell stories is that we give our players agency over the character they're playing, which basically means that their choices...
Telltale. The Walking Dead, that Telltale game series was fabulous, I would say. Really good.
Shape the overall story, so they're actually living in the story as opposed to just following along with it.
When you're adapting a television property into a video game property, you have to think about what the fan is expecting. And
yeah, that's actually interesting. I don't think I've ever seen it done this way around. It's usually books to movies or book to television series or book to video game, or video game is the IP and then video game is now being transferred into a movie or a book. Yeah, like Halo started off as a Halo series and then you had the Halo books in between. And now it's happening. Now it's sort of like the reverse, where it's a series being turned into a game. Hope you does well.
This takes place years before the first season. We're getting to see the world through Kamina Drummer's eyes. She is a belter, somebody who's out in deep space and has grown up there, has never set foot on a planet, so her perspective is really different.
It's hard for me to look at these moons without thinking about the other research colonies exploiting all the resources on them and giving nothing to the belt.
I hoped to portray her, especially at the beginning of the video game, as a little bit more vulnerable and open, and to see the events that cause her to harden.
Just like Ceres, bossing everyone around, only this time no dolls to keep you on the leash, yeah?
A really awesome character like Drummer deserves to have really interesting situations to be put in that fans have come to expect from the show, and now it's like they're getting to play an episode of The Expanse, but in video game form. We can do things like put zero-G in the game, but we have to think about it from what's a good interaction medium, and changing that from what you may have seen in the show slightly to make sure that it's something that you can grok immediately and that feels good on the sticks, but that is also representative of what you see in the show. Those characters have really complex issues that they're facing regularly, and in narrative games, we want to give players these gray areas to really think, is this the answer I wanted to choose, or do I want to choose this answer? And that they both have their upsides and their downsides. And so The Expanse is perfect for that.
Studio to make these kind of games.
Punctured and losing pressure. You need to release the vault and patch him now, or he could die.
Belay that. That vault has O2, fuel, armaments. We can't afford to lose it.
It was a really interesting challenge to
lose
talk
your
about the
leg,
same
fam.
character in a completely different medium.
Deck Nine is a video game studio. We are known for our narrative, our characters, and our motion capture technology.
It's a completely blank white room. You've got some tape on the floor, maybe a few things made out of wire to show where a door frame might be or something like that, but otherwise it's pure imagination.
I assume you didn't come here to talk about crystals.
We have a new target.
What is it this time, El Dorado? The Fountain of Youth? Let me guess. The Falcon Horde of Venus?
The UNN Urshanabi. Cap believes there's something valuable on board.
Something that we are really excited for people to experience in the Expanse of Telltale series is the emotional performance that we're getting from our actors that comes through with our technology and from our animators that really bring out the personality in these characters.
I work for you, but you don't own me.
Believe me, I'm well aware.
Yep.
Just want to make sure you're not having second thoughts about our deal.
Oh, come on. We're equal partners. We pay the crew, the costs, and the overhead.
The rest is 50-50. You and me.
I mean, that's the joy and the beauty of a job like this, is that I get to play.
We're hoping that you form these bonds with these characters and that they are something that you carry with you after you're done playing the game and you're thinking about it later. That, to me, is always a testament of good storytelling is, am I thinking about it long after I experienced the game itself?
The Expanse, a Telltale series. I only know Telltale from the Walking Dead series. Really enjoyed those games.
I am Julián Cordero, and I'm the lead developer and programmer in Despelote. Despelote is a game about soccer, and it's a slice-of-life adventure game set in 2001, when Ecuador was really close to qualifying to the World Cup for the first time.
Speaking of Ecuador, I'm not sure if many people know this. Like a couple, I'm not sure which World Cup it was, where one of the, I don't know, either it's Ecuador or Colombia, where one of the players scored an own goal and either Ecuador or Colombia was knocked out of the World Cup. Apologies if I'm mixing this up. I'm sure somebody in the comments or somebody will make a video about how wrong I am. Doesn't matter, because I'm so small, so they probably won't even notice. That I remember one of those players got killed because they cost their national team an opportunity. I'm not sure whether it's Ecuador or Colombia. One of those two. So yeah, bit of a history about the World Cup. Yeesh.
Everybody was incredibly excited about this moment, and you see it through the eyes of an 8-year-old kid kicking a ball around with your friends in the park.
¿Vamos a jugar?
When I was growing up, I played a lot of soccer. In Ecuador, the culture of soccer is very big, and if you're a boy and you're not playing soccer, it's like hard to make friends. A lot of like my best friends I made were through playing soccer. But then when I moved to the US, I wasn't really watching or playing soccer for a few years. That sort of made me like take a step back from it. I thought it was a relationship with a watch. I really liked his work.
My name is animation, 3D modeling, and also the music. This is actually the first video game I have ever worked in.
I knew the game was going to be in 3D because I wanted the game to be like feel very physical and this like the physical connection with the ball.
We wanted to find a graphic style that could communicate emotions, and we found that the 2D hand-drawn animation was the best way to do that.
I'd say.
We developed like the art style sort of around like his previous work and his style. It sort of feels very nostalgic to us to have these like backgrounds with this like very grainy aesthetic. That was just very important to have that dynamic. The background being so noisy, the characters being so like hand-drawn and like so clean. As soon as like I was like, okay, well, what's the setting for this game? Like the only really idea I had was like where I have played soccer in my life, which is in Quito. That's where the game sort of had to be set. It became characters and the buildings are all
have the same feeling that you get when you listen to people's conversation in the street. So that's why we went with the improvisation for the dialogue.
It's all improvised, really. We like approached a lot of friends and family in Ecuador. The parents are played by my own parents, so there's an interesting dynamic happening there as you run around as a kid. The scene we set is it's 2001. Ecuador is just coming out of this big economic crisis, and there's this idea we can qualify to the World Cup, and that's like really exciting. And it's been great because I think it's bringing in a lot of this like sort of communal understanding of the moment. So big that even they were really excited about it.
Hey, FIFA.
Oiga, ya está jugando el Ecuador, vamos a ver. Todo el mundo está hablando de que este sí hay chance.
Capturing this moment in time was important because I think for my generation, the first time we qualified to the World Cup, it sort of meant like, oh, Ecuador is a tiny little country, but all of a sudden we were
it must
in
be
the world
Colombia
stage,
then.
we were like
Like,
playing
Ecuador.
against Italy, and like we were like in the big newspapers, and that felt like a really big and I think for me, yes, we can. Based on a lot of our memories, instead of like trying to recreate it directly one-to-one, it's more of like a fuzzy memory. What
Alright, I think that concludes this video, man. Very interesting indie games, which I'm probably not gonna play. But the Telltale game one. That one was definitely probably the most interesting. That one in the first game. I forgot what it was, but let me just go and see what it's called. Yeah, let's see, it's not the Scottish Highlands. I think, yeah, the Scottish Highlands. I think that was the game because it looked interesting. Like a platformer, like Jump King, which is another stressful game. I don't know how people could... I would have gotten so mad at Jump King. So hopefully it's not like that. But yeah, definitely the game based on a TV series is probably the Telltale say. It's got not Stray Gods. What is it called? The Expanse. But yeah, definitely gonna play. Think about playing this game. I don't want to put any promises out that I'm probably not gonna keep. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.